We are back with news about a new study raising alarms about one of the most commonly used painkillers on the market, ibuprofen, like Motrin and Advil, which could actually increase your risk of cardiac arrest by an alarming 31%, believe it or not. Joining us now, Dr. Nicole Saphier, who's a board-certified radiologist and women's imaging expert. Welcome, doctor. So good to have you here, because when this study came out, I know I was really surprised. A lot of my friends and colleagues were surprised, too, because we take ibuprofen often in this business. We get headaches, and things like that. But this is something the medical community, you say, has known for a while. This study came out testing 29,000 people.
Sure. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory NSAIDs, such as Motrin, they're some of the most widely used medications across the globe, and especially in the United States, from infancy for teething pain and through when our elderly who take it for degenerative changes or any ache. So everyone uses it. I mean, I'd be remiss to say that I couldn't open up my own medicine cabinet and find several bottles. I think most people can say that. What is highlighted by this large study that came out of, that was a Danish study, is essentially something that we've known in the medical community. We've had these warning signs on the bottle since at least 2005, and in 2015, the FDA actually upped that warning on the bottle, making it a little bit more severe. So there is a direct correlation between a lot of these NSAIDs, such as Motrin, and cardiovascular disease, such as stroke and heart attacks.
But I have always come to understand that most of the risk factors were more towards your stomach, or if you're getting ulcers and things like that. It could lead to bleeding ulcers if you take too much. I find the connection to cardiac arrest a bit more surprising.
And that's because a lot of people don't talk about it. And of course, it is much more common to get bleeding in the stomach or the GI tract. So people know about that. A lot of people do get an upset stomach from taking that. But the effects of a heart attack is significantly more severe, and people need to be aware of it.
Is it more apparent with men or women? Do we know?
In the study, it showed a little bit more of women. We do notice in a lot of studies that women take medication more often than not, or more often than men do, for pain and headaches and aches and other ailments. So therefore, the fact that more women had heart attacks isn't necessarily because that they have a higher effect with the nonsteroidals. Cardiovascular disease is actually higher in women, and it is the leading cause of death in women. So that's not a surprising thing to see.
Do more people today take ibuprofen as opposed to regular aspirin?
So aspirin and ibuprofen are a little bit different. I think a lot of people go to Motrin, ibuprofen, the other NSAIDs because they have a less risk of a GI bleeding. Aspirin actually has preventative measures when it comes to cardiovascular disease. Aspirin stops the blood from clotting, so therefore it helps you not have a heart attack, not have a stroke. Whereas these other NSAIDs are showing to actually clot the blood a little bit and cause these risks.
And I think a lot of people take ibuprofen because it does help with body aches and back pain and, more than just a headache. It does make a difference as opposed to aspirin. So would you feel, or could you say that there would be symptoms shortly after taking a lot of ibuprofen over a consistent period of time, that you'd get chest pains, or is there some kind of connection that you should make right when you're taking ibuprofen? If something happens.
Take the NSAIDs out of it. The moment you start having chest pain, you start feeling lightheaded, you just aren't feeling right, you need to go talk to your doctor. You need to sit down. Don't just chalk it up to it's going to be okay. You always should go see your doctor. And when it comes to the aches and pains, the benefits of ibuprofen and the other NSAIDs may outweigh the risk of taking it. A lot of people benefit from taking these medications, so I'm not saying not to take it. What you need to do is you need to do it under the care of a physician. Just because it's available at your local pharmacy doesn't mean that you shouldn't talk to a doctor about some of these pains. Take the lowest dose that you possibly can that's recommended on the bottle. That helps you. And take the shortest amount of duration as possible. You don't want to overdo it. The more you take, the higher your risk for having one of these adverse effects.
I think a lot of people think because it is over the counter, it's probably less risky because they can just sort of self-medicate and take it on their own without checking with the doctor.
And actually, ibuprofen needs a prescription in where the Danish study was taking place, and all these other studies that we've had, you need a prescription for ibuprofen there. So it's just in the United States you don't.
Really quickly, so what do you want people to come away with after this news saying that there's this big risk?
First of all, know your cardiovascular disease risk. What's your lifestyle like? Do you live a sedentary lifestyle? Do you have hypertension? Do you have diabetes? Know your risk before you start grabbing some of these NSAIDs. And also, if you have an ache, don't just run to the medicine cabinet. What else can you do for this ache? Can you do heat? Can you do ice, massage, meditate?
That's a good point.
Do something else before you start taking it.
Good advice.
Thank you.
Great to see you. Thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it.